sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric Morgan over there.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's Vanessa Williams over there.
Hello, everybody.
I'm Kelly Young. Merry Christmas to all of our listeners. I hope everybody had a fantastic holiday here in the States. I don't know what everybody does in...
Yeah, that's true.
Boxing Day,
international
pre-Boxing Day, post-middle Boxing Day. There's a lot of Boxing Days out there.
Well, we're coming in a day after Christmas, but today we are talking about Christmas horror.
That's right. Because horror knows no date.
All right.
Yeah, we'll sit on that one. We'll table it.
No. We could just fly right by it, apparently.
But before we get to that, you guys, what have you been up to in the last week or so?
Oh, Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
I ate food and there was a tree. It may or may not have snowed. I'll let you decide.
Wherever you are, you know whether it snowed or not.
It's true. What about you guys?
I watched a movie, you guys.
Just one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why it took me so long to watch this, but I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
Have you seen this, Vanessa?
I have.
Have you seen
Still
this?
have not.
This, if I were to have a list of non-horror movies for the year, would be my favorite movie that I saw this year.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was a very divisive film.
I know that, and I am not a Tarantino fan.
No, nor am I.
The films that I do like of his, like I hated The Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
But I loved Inglourious Bastards, which I know is not on most people's top of his films.
I didn't even, after Django Unchained, I just
Yeah.
kind of didn't even watch. I haven't seen Hateful Eight yet. It
Okay.
just didn't hold any interest to me. But I
Yeah.
also really thought Inglourious Bastards was...
Yeah. So, after Pulp Fiction, I felt like he kind of hit this bunch of films. And I mean, I know a lot of people think Jackie Brown is his greatest. That one does very little for me.
Yeah. Same.
So, so this one, a friend of ours, Wade Chitwood, was telling me, Kelly, I think you're going to like this. There's a lot of the elements of Inglourious Bastards that you like are also in this film.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a try. And I have decided I could watch Brad Pitt drive around 1969 Los Angeles listening to the radio for 9 fucking hours straight and not get bored.
It's interesting. That film, a lot of the complaints I heard, I had a really long think about it after coming out of the theater, and I was probably sobbing more than I should have been, which was also probably not I don't know if that was a common reaction, honestly. But there was just a lot that people hated that I thought was amazing in it.
Yeah. So overall, you enjoyed it?
I loved it. I actually wrote a really big, long Facebook post about it.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's funny because one of my favorite film reviewers hated it and talked about how it was super racist and how it made fun of Jackie Chan in
Bruce Lee.
Sorry, thank you so much, Bruce Lee in it. And I actually was I was skeptical. I was waiting to hate it. I was watching it, and then that segment came on, and I was like, Did they know it's like. I think it's a dream. I'm pretty sure he's just fantasizing, and that's why he's such an over-the-top, ridiculous character.
Well, I disagree with your interpretation of that scene.
Interesting.
But I think that the reason people were saying that it was kind of racist is this guy is putting on a Chinese man's accent while he speaks English.
Yeah.
But he sounds just like Bruce Lee sounded, so it's hard to say if this is racist or not. He's playing a character who did sound like that.
Like I said, I haven't seen that, but I did read a lot about that particular scene.
Right, that was like a big
thing.
thing.
Because a lot of people were saying it wasn't a strong interpretation of what Bruce Lee was really like.
Well...
So, and then other people say, well, it's not that far off.
Yeah. I mean, you and I are both huge Bruce Lee fans,
Yeah.
and we know that he could be a
He had
big
moments.
asshole.
Yes, he was not always great on set. But that was largely because he kind of knew exactly what he wanted to get and
Right.
how to get there. And if you didn't go with him, he didn't care to let you know that you were wrong.
Here's my question with that whole scene. So we start with Brad Pitt with no shirt on the rooftop.
Right.
Then we're on set.
Well, okay, so
We're on set. The scene happens. Then we're back on the rooftop and he's smiling to himself with no shirt on.
Right.
I'm not sure that this really happened.
it was him remembering that scene. That was a flashback.
It was a flashback.
And this is, let me say
That's
this.
interesting.
Let me say this about this film.
Yeah.
A lot of the things I hate about Tarantino are all over this film.
Right. Oh no, the feet
So-
thing. The feet thing.
The feet thing,
my
yeah, I'm a little tired of
God.
that.
Yeah.
But also the just the like you're talking about the anachronistic stuff that would non-linear, a scene would just show up somewhere or a flashback within a flashback, which was like, oh Christ,
Right. Well, it's definitely fascinating. And I also feel like they did Bruce Lee a little bit of service in that he teaches the different women in the film some martial arts, which actually end up coming in handy.
Right.
So there's that kind of element where he seems to be actually a pretty decent guy in other scenes. So that was interesting.
I know it was a big deal around all over, but it might have been a little bigger deal for us and the group we hang out with who are all local.
Yeah.
Because, his
Right.
dojo was here. He taught
Right.
here.
Yeah.
It's still
yeah.
here.
And he's buried here too.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
very strong local connection.
A beloved figure in Seattle history. I didn't, as a huge Bruce Lee fan, I didn't feel bothered by that scene at all.
Sure. Yeah.
I was like, this kind of rings true to me.
And I have to say, as an editor, because a lot of my editing friends hated it and talked about like, hey, I've never seen a rough cut make it all the way to the final production before. Multiple said that. And so I was watching it going, okay, like, all right, what is up with this? What is up with this? And I kind of realized partway in that a lot of the editing is into the style of whatever Leonardo DiCaprio's starring in at that time.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Which was so cool. So
Yeah.
you realize some of the shots, some of the decisions, some of the way in which they're pacing things out just makes sense with what he's starring in that point.
Yeah, I mean, we joke about how we don't have any real conversations in life anymore because we save everything for the podcast. But as soon as I was done with the movie,
Yes.
all I wanted to do was call Eric and go, dude, you're going to fucking love this movie.
Yeah.
Sure, I will.
Yeah,
It's-
it's different.
It's one of those things where, back in the 90s, every indie film director had a script about an indie filmmaker.
Oh, yeah.
And it's something that I just fucking hated seeing.
Yeah.
And this is now Tarantino making his indie filmmaker script, only he's a hugely successful filmmaker making a film about hugely successful filmmakers.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It definitely was a surprise for me. And
Cool.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
glad you got to check it out.
Yeah, I mean, and it's too long, but I also
Well, it's a
feel
Tarantino film, so.
Yeah, I also feel like the entirety of it is DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's friendship,
Yeah.
and you have to spend that much time with them
To get
for
what you
the
get.
for the last third act.
Yeah.
You need to have that much time with them to understand that. Okay,
What it all,
that's
yeah, I totally agree. It actually didn't feel too long to me at all. I felt like there was so much happening, and you did watch these relationships develop, and some relationships form and crumble, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I did not have that problem with it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I watched a much shorter film.
Oh. Was
Definitely
it a
not
short film?
as good, but very lauded, though. This was one that a lot of people really liked. I don't think you liked it much, though.
oh,
Although, if this had been 30 or 40 minutes, it would have been fucking amazing. The Headhunter.
is this the Viking?
Yes.
Yeah.
The D&D character come to life and thrown on a movie. Watching this, that's all I could think of was a powerful Dungeons and Dragons character going out and building his resume by killing these wild beasts.
Yeah, I did like this movie.
I thought it was fine, but that's the plot.
Yeah, it is a weak story.
Yes, and it's got a neat little setup and a neat little wrap up. If this had been a 30, 40 minute short, it would have been right up there with Oculus is one of my favorite shorts I've ever seen.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But because it looks amazing. Holy shit. Costume design and the guy's cabin and everything like that all look great. I just got bored a good chunk of the way through going, I was going to hunt something else now.
It is. That is a super low budget film. And you sit there and you go, wow, how could they have made a film like this? And then you realize, well, because it literally only has one person in it and he's in the woods most of the time.
Yeah. And they did some neat makeup on a bunch of Halloween masks. They called it Spirit or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I got to say, the turn I thought was really bad. I'm like, you've got this thing that keeps you alive that you're just going to let sitting around without even a goddamn lid on it.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, but it doesn't suck. I mean, it's just like, and it did well enough that I hope somebody goes, here's a much larger check for you. Let's go make a movie.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the hope of every filmmaker is, I'm going to dump all of my money into this.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, this is a calling card.
Yeah, they earned a calling card. That is a...
It looks great.
As a director, it's a great calling card. As a writer, not a great calling card. but man, what is directed is really well done.
Well, I went and checked out, finally managed to see Ready or Not.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love this movie.
The only disappointment I really had with it is I wish I'd gotten to see it in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would have really loved that large scale for a lot of those moments. It was fun. It wasn't quite, I think in my brain, I built it up to be a little bit higher. So I was a tiny bit disappointed at moments, but overall a super fun film.
I just watched it last night.
Oh, did you really? Oh my
And
gosh.
I was like, oh my God.
Our brains. Whoa.
I really like, there's a laundry list of horror films and my
Yeah.
wife likes horror film, but definitely not the same way we do.
Right.
So I go through them and go, I think she's probably going to like this one. So it took a while to see because it's like, okay, and she did. She thought it was fantastic. And boy, I really liked that one.
That was one that, especially if you go in not really knowing much about what's going on, every 30 minutes you're going, well, okay, so that's what's going on?
Yeah.
And then the next 30-minute turn, you're like, oh, that's not what was going on.
Yes.
So, yeah, okay. Strange Aeons Radio approved. All three of us loved it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
That's unusual.
And I also managed to catch on the opposite end a very artsy film, Honeyboy.
I'm not familiar with this
the
one.
posters for that. I'm
Yeah. So it's kind
love
of, I don't know why. It's been a little bit hidden. It's the Shia LaBeouf
Oh, right.
kind of biopic.
Is it
essentially.
amazing? Because I have heard great things.
It's really pretty good. It's very heartbreaking. It's very well acted. It doesn't feel self-indulgent. It actually feels like a very honest story of a child actor having to go through a mix of fame and a aggressive, awful parent on the other end of
What would
that.
Shia LaBeouf ever know about being that?
Right, which I didn't know anything. I mean, I
Yeah.
honestly didn't even go in realizing what it was. I just was like, I've seen the poster. There's a pie at a child's face. Let's see where this goes. I knew nothing about it. And I was like, why is Shia LaBeouf like playing this like older dude? I mean, it's great, but And then at the end, my friend was like, yeah, no, it's actually based on his...
Yeah,
that's why he's so fucked up. And I was
He's
like,
playing his
oh.
dad in the movie, right?
is.
Yeah, that's got to
He
be
is.
cathartic.
it, and it's interesting because at one point it kind of semi addresses that, and it really actually does feel almost like harrowing because I think at some point he'd said to his dad, I'm gonna write this down, I'm gonna make a thing out of this, and he said something like, well, make me look good.
God.
Yeah, but it's, I don't know, it's interesting because it has a lot of heart and a lot of sympathy even for that figure of the...
Is this available to rent, or did you see this in theater?
I saw it in theater.
Yeah, I think it's
still in
theater.
theaters.
I do want to see this. Are you guys prepared to live in a world with Academy Award winner Shia LaBeouf? Because I think people are talking
There's
about this.
no way, though. He might get nominated, but he's not going to win.
Are you prepared to live in that world?
Where
Academy
he's
Award
nominated.
nominated Shia LaBeouf.
Oh,
We already live in a world where the Suicide Squad won an
Yeah,
Oscar.
that's
That
true.
is really weird. But I will say with Shia LaBeouf, I swear, like we are, again, it's just proof we're in the Matrix. Like somebody wrote this weird ass code of this dude who came out of nowhere as a child star and then started pulling his teeth out for films and is like the craziest method actor. And now he's coming back around to like art. I don't know. Every time I hear his name, I think of that weird art song that somebody made. You know? The Shia LaBeouf. And like they've got the...
Oh, I've heard of that, but I've not heard the song.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm rooting for the kid. I've always liked him. Then every once in a while, he'd do some, just massively self-destructive thing.
Yeah.
And instead of the normal feeling I would get, it's always just a little heartbreaking when he does it for me, because I like the guy and I'm like, God, I'm really rooting for this kid to get his shit together. Yeah. And then hearing about his life and how troubled it was,
It makes so much
like,
sense.
wow, well, now I'm really rooting for him. So
He's kind of the world's most successful performance artist.
Yeah.
Some of the things he
It
does.
does feel like it.
watching all of his movies at one time in the theater, just filming
Exactly.
himself
And
watching them.
was it live streamed? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
happened?
think
Oh my
it was.
gosh. Yeah.
All right. Why not?
Exactly. I mean, if you're gonna be carrying that weight around with you of being like a Nickelodeon star.
I think that's where he started off, as Nickelodeon or Disney.
And then he ended up in the Holes movie. Yeah. If you're gonna have that around your neck, heck, why not? Go full. Who's the not Lizzie McGuire, but the singer Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, go full Miley Cyrus. Why not?
Get on that wrecking ball and
Wreck it all
fly
up.
around.
I started watching, and I'm not sure I'll finish, the BBC production of War of the Worlds.
Oh, that's
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it is not good,
Oh, no.
and it's unfortunate because it's like a lot of their things, it's 3 hour and a half long episodes, and I'm about 48 minutes into this first episode, and I'm just like, yawn. I feel like something good should have happened by now.
That's a long time for that story.
BBC is known for doing these amazing adaptations and stuff
Like
like
the
that.
Dracula
The
one that's
Dracula one
coming
that's
up.
coming up looks really great.
Ooh.
But this one I noticed they kind of hid down low, almost like they realized, this one is not really up to snuff. So this one's kind of hard to find.
Well, I had a double feature last night.
Oh.
Trying to catch up, get that year-end stuff, getting near the end of the year, going, what haven't I seen? So, unfortunately, I watched, I think, in the wrong order because I really liked Ready or Not. And then afterwards, we watched, which was a fun film, but I think was down after that, was Crawl,
Oh, I've been wanting to see that.
which is fun,
Yeah.
but the energy and the kinetic movement of Ready or Not, Crawl seemed much slower than I think it'd be.
It
Right.
crawled.
I think we'd reverse
I can't believe you
the
said that out
order.
loud.
I would have liked Crawl more, but it's good.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's.
I have every intention of watching it.
I liked
but-
it, actually.
Yeah.
I liked it quite a bit, but I dig me some crocodile movies.
Right.
Or alligator movies, whatever it is.
I just like anything disastrous. Man, you put the world in a
Oh,
weird
yeah.
situation, I'm there.
It does some really neat storm. It is a neat looking storm.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's really well done. And it's Aja Alexander.
Yeah, Aja Alexander.
Great suspense director from High Tension and the remake of Hills Have Eyes.
Oh, okay.
I think it was just a little down tick after Ready or Not, but it's still well worth watching.
Ready or Not is fun on top of everything, and
Right.
Crawl is not exactly fun.
No.
It's trapped in a basement with crocodiles
Yeah.
or alligators.
Sounds like a good Friday night to me.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
haven't seen it, I would say, yeah, go see it.
The
Yeah.
problem with all of these kind of movies where the creature attacks and then basically just stays around continuing to attack, like any Jaws movie or shark movie where the shark is just acting like a serial killer and he wants to take
Right.
out everybody. I mean, this is not how animals work. They eat and then they
And
move
gotta
on.
digest, surely. I do wonder about that. I'm always like, man, aren't you full yet?
No, I'm not full. I got 6 more people out here.
Well, they're not really eating any of
Mostly the
people
main
either.
characters that we've been
The
following.
bodies
around.
are still full. Of the people they kill, the bodies are.
Right, they're just pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
They just hate humans.
I did.
we are killing their environment.
We were watching, and Dina's like, they growl like that in real life? So it's like, well, it's a modern world. Let's Google it. So I looked it up. Turns out alligators do growl.
Oh.
But they growl during mating season. So like,
Hey,
movie just
little bee.
got a little different.
That's right.
Oh my God.
No, that was what I watched. Just that amazing movie and then that very disappointing miniseries.
Well, I managed to catch one more thing, which I've been hooked on. Marvelous Miss Maisel, season 3.
I've been wanting to see that. Is it as good as?
It's ridiculously good. It's stupid good. So I was a huge fan of Gilmore Girls in my teenage years. It was the show me and my mom could watch together. It was the only show me and my mom could watch together. I loved like the speed. It's fun, it's fast, it's furious, and it's really creative in what would happen in it. And so then that same director, Amy Palladino, and she went on to do something called Bunheads, which was like a huge flop. She kind of disappeared.
My niece loved that. She was a ballet.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah. I know.
that show.
I actually didn't manage to see it, but people said it was good. It's just nobody watched it. And then they did the Gilmore Girls like Netflix 4 seasons thing, which was half good and half total garbage. It was just, I think she let her husband direct 2 of them, and those 2 were not particularly good. And then she suddenly got given this project, I felt like it was really out of nowhere because she hadn't been doing anything in ages. Like she'd had a big fight with, I think it was Warner Brothers, who she walked away from for Gilmore Girls. So the last season was directed and written by somebody completely different, and it was god awful because of it. But Marvelous Miss Maisel Mrs. Maisel is super fun. It's super different.
It's Amazon, isn't it?
It is. It's on Amazon. I would definitely recommend it. It's just really good.
You can really tell when Amazon has gotten behind something because there's a million billboards of it out
everywhere.
If you turn on Amazon, it's the first thing that pops up on that header or whatever you call that. Mm-hmm. So Amazon is very much into that.
I think a lot of people are watching it.
Cool. Well, okay. Well, how about we take a little break? We see what the guys at Napa are up to. And then we come back. We talk about Christmas horror.
They know how.
Ship my trousers. Right here. Ship my trousers. You're kidding.
You can ship your trousers right here.
Mary, did you hear that?
I did, Bob. I just may ship me bloomers.
Yes, you should ship your bloomers, and Timmy, you should ship your trousers, too.
I can't wait to ship my trousers. Trousers, Dad.
I just shipped my petticoats, and it was very expedient.
Very expedient.
I just shipped my wardrobe.
I just shipped my robe.
I just shipped the bed.
If you can't find what you're looking for in store, we'll find it for you at Kmart.com right now and ship it to you for free. Shop your way at Kmart. Get in, get more Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho. We're back.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
We're talking Christmas horror, and because I chose this topic, I got to go first. I get to go first. We're talking Christmas horror. Since I chose this topic, I get to go first. So I don't know what your guys' attitude towards this was, like if you watched a bunch of films or what, but this was easy for me to choose because I wanted to see this movie, and I found out it was on Chiller. Or no, not on Chiller.
Shudder?
Shudder, yeah. Is Chiller even a thing anymore? Or did Shudder just completely destroy them?
That was like Xfinity or Comcast or something, wasn't it? Like a cable channel?
Oh, you know what? I don't remember. I never had it. So this is available on Shudder right now, and it's a big deal because it's only now just recently available anywhere. It is a movie called Deadly Games.
Merry, Merry Christmas. Don't change, kids, stay with us. Stay a little, Jesus. Hold on to my hand. happen.
Or Game Over.
Oh.
Or
jeez.
Hide and Freak.
Okay.
Or my favorite, Dial Code Santa Claus.
Wow. What?
Yeah.
A U.S. production or a
No.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
1987. It is from France. No Rotten Tomatoes critics, but the audience has it at 38%.
Ooh, another one of those.
And that is absolutely not fair. I also could find no budget or box office information of it. It was written and directed by René Manzor, and Manzor is still working in the industry, but mostly doing French television, although he has several episodes of the Highlander syndicated series, Young Indiana Jones, that kind of stuff. And then it's also, well, it stars Alain Lalanne, who is René Manzor's kid. It's his son who plays the kid in this. Alain also working in the industry, but not as an actor. He is a visual FX producer for such small budget films as Dark Phoenix, Independence Day, Edge of Tomorrow, Gravity, Avatar, The Dark Knight.
Ooh.
God, those sound familiar.
He's done very well for himself.
Hmm.
It also stars Patrick Florsheim, who has 92 French credits, but I kind of recognized him, but it was probably from his appearances in television episodes of Highlander and Young Indiana Jones, the same episodes that Manzor directed. So he clearly works with his group of people. This is a weird movie. Have you guys seen this?
I'm not familiar
No,
with
definitely not.
I think that you will both like it.
Really?
So put it on your list.
Okay.
Elaine plays this kid, Thomas.
Which title do I put it on?
You will find it on Shudder under the title Deadly Games,
Okay.
the most generic and nonsensical of the titles.
I'm writing it down right now. Deadly Games, maybe. Got it. Question mark.
So Thomas is this super smart kid. He's like 9 years old, and he is, you'll kind of recognize this storyline, I bet. He's left alone on Christmas Eve with his very frail grandfather in their gigantic mansion when a psychopath targets him.
I probably have not seen the other film in which this nod towards.
Well, Manzor unsuccessfully tried to sue the makers of Home Alone and saying, hey, you guys stole my idea. And they were like, this idea is just an idea. You can't copyright an idea. And really, when you watch it, it's not very close to that. It's got some elements of it. But this is a weird, dark film that stars a kid.
Okay.
Who is put into constant danger. And so, you know, that I kind of like movies like that.
I was going to say, isn't the one you picked last year a story about a kid that was in danger, that was home alone?
No, I think I picked last year. Didn't I pick...
I thought you had the Shudder film, about the movie that starts off like a fun, violent Home Alone, but then gets horribly violent.
Yeah. Now let me. When I say kid, I know that's a generic term. That kid is like 16 years old or 15 or something. Remember, this is like an 8 or 9 year old
like a
kid.
Child.
Yeah, and he's super smart. He's crazy smart, but he's also crazy smart in 1987 when computers looked a certain way, and he apparently could make them do things that just were not possible with computers. You know, the thing that we always joke about is looking at technology from 1987, especially computer technology, and you're seeing stuff pop up on the screen, and you're going, "That's not exactly how things worked." But computers were so new to us that they could show anything on the screen, and we'd be like, "Oh wow, is that what you can do with computers? That's amazing!"
Because like only 1 in 20 people had one, and they were like word processors. Like,
right now, they don't really. I mean, they get into the fact that this kid, his mom, is very, very wealthy, and they live in this gigantic house. It's like a 40-room mansion.
Maybe his computer, he could afford one that did it.
Exactly.
You know?
Those special super secret computers.
That
They had
no
like
one
2 or 3
knew
of them
about.
in the world.
Right. So they don't really get into it. If you heard the preview just before this started, though, in the trailer, there is this amazing, the movie starts off with this amazing ripoff of the song of the Eye of the Tiger song from Survivor.
Yes.
So as you're listening to this, as the credits are rolling and this kid is jumping around, he's dressed like Rambo and everything, it's playing this ripoff of Eye of the Tiger sung in French. And you're like, well, that is blatantly Eye of the Tiger, but one note off, you know.
Maybe they should have sued.
In the industry, you've got these things that are called sound-alikes, or then the next step down is a feel-alike. So if you can't afford Eye of the Tiger, you basically say, well, I want a sound-alike song. And I want a song that kind of sounds like this, so people will go, oh, I'd like this song. Or I want a feel-alike, which is I want that same feeling. So, you know, instead of Eye of the Tiger, you might end up with You're the Best from Karate Kid or something like that. This feels like something you could sue over to me. This is not a sound alike. This is a, you guys really just changed one note in this song.
Eye of the Tiger.
And we're introduced to Thomas, and he is, you know, something I hate in movies. He's precocious. You know, if your kid ever actually spoke to you like this, or when I was a kid, you'd get a backhand to the mouth if you talked like this to your parents. It's just like, how is this kid still alive? But he's a bit of a brat, and his mother, who owns all of these companies and stuff like that, she has to work on Christmas Eve, and she's going to be away, and they live with their very frail, her father, his grandfather, who understands him maybe a little bit more than his mom does. There is this, I don't even want to call him a psychopath. He's actually treated pretty well considering our views towards mental illness in the 80s. Because he's deranged, I guess you would say, and he's confused, and he manages to somehow get a job as a Santa at this store that the lady owns. And then this little girl gets on his lap, and you can clearly see that he's got a dark beard under the white beard. And she says, "You're not the real Santa." And his response to that is to slap her. And
oh no!
And our hero's mom sees this, and she just grabs the kid away from him and is like, "What the fuck are you doing? You are fired immediately." He then finds out where she lives, and he decides he's going to pay a visit to their house. She's not at the house, but her young, brilliant son and her very frail father are. And the rest of the movie is, well, the rest of the movie is this guy shows up and gets into the house, and he's dressed as Santa, and he's very creepy. He has killed the caretakers to get into the place. He's actually shown himself to be quite violent and unhinged. Then he gets into the house, but what he doesn't realize, and what if we were to ever give any thought to it seems very strange, is the kid has rigged the house with booby traps.
I do wonder, like
who lets their kid do this? Is that what you're wondering?
Yeah, why did the kid do this?
Well, and these are elaborate traps. In fact, there is a trap door in one of the rooms that,
oh my God,
that the dog has fallen into a net because he terrorizes the dog regularly.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Well, that's a way to make your hero sympathetic.
Well, he does love the dog, and it's done in kind of a funny way. But I will say, as a trigger warning here to people, I know that a lot of people cannot watch animals get harmed, and this dog does not survive the movie. This is the first kill of the guy in the house. And it's done for scare effects, because the boy did love the dog very much, and he finds the dog. And so, it's one of his kind of moments where he has to face that, okay, this guy he means real harm to us. It's a very sad scene where he actually takes the dog and he buries it in one of the rooms in the house.
What?
They've got like a enclosed garden or something. I can't tell. When I say this place is a mansion, think the Hogwarts school.
Oh, wow.
With turrets, and it's like a castle
How is
more
the guy
than
ever
a
going to
mansion.
find the kid in there?
Yeah, well, that's what it does. It becomes this this game of hide and seek, which makes the one title Hide and Freak a little bit better. I kind of like that. There is a lot of the traps being sprung, and the kid having to get himself out of a predicament just before the guy shows up, and then something happens to him. But there's also a fair amount of tension being built because the father or his grandfather needs medication, and the kid is not able to quite get to it because of where the psychopath is. And so he has to escape the house, which he has put basically down in lockdown. So he's got to get through his own traps, get to the caretaker's house where he finds that they've been killed, get the medication that they have there, get back into the house before his grandfather dies. And so there's a bit of a ticking time bomb going on there. There's some really creepy scenes, where, well, basically maybe I'm not going to spoil that part, but the part that I'm talking about where the guy is psychopathic, it becomes more that he's deranged and doesn't really understand all the damage he's doing. So it's not like he's out to cause as much mayhem as possible. It's just how he goes through life, if that makes sense. Yeah. I don't quite understand the 38%. This is a fun movie if it is a little weird to kind of put in a box. There are some tonal changes that maybe will make you scratch your head, but it is French. Yeah. So, remember, we're dealing with a different culture. Yeah. And so just like, every once in a while we'll watch, some Asian horror thing and you realize, I bet you that means something over there that I'm not getting. Yeah. And there are a couple of scenes here where you think maybe their humor is maybe tinged with a little more, with a little bit of darkness, the way that ours isn't. And so stuff that kind of makes you cringe and you go, there's no way you're going to see that in an American film. I think this is just a cultural thing. And so, I was able to get past it. Clearly, a lot of the reviewers were not. So I love this movie and I heartily recommend it, but, your mileage may vary.
Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I couldn't really find any other trivia on this except that Manzer threatened the filmmakers of Home Alone with a lawsuit, which I don't even think got to court. I think they kind of just said, you know what? I think we're fine.
Feel free.
So who goes next?
Let's see. Shall I?
Totally up to you.
Sure.
Sure.
Not?
You sound very unenthusiastic.
Boy, this is great podcasting, you guys.
Welcome to the show. Tonight, SAR, we will be talking about Christmas movies. Thank you for joining us.
This got very NPR. We'd like to share some really fun recipes with you guys.
Sweaty balls.
Eric, what did you enjoy? What does your family like to have on Christmas?
This year we had we watched a Christmas movie. I don't think I could get anybody in my family to watch this.
All of this out. You're killing me, guys.
You just made it far more interesting to keep getting. So no. Okay, right. Back to who are we? Horror, scary. Bleh. So I picked I would say it's a loosely Christmas movie, but it definitely takes place at Christmas, and it is an important part of the story in some ways. Mm-hmm. The 2003 film Dead End.
Is anybody else just like the least bit freaked out that we are the only car on the road right now?
It's 7:30 already, darling.
Yes, I'm aware of that, Laura. I thought we'd come to a junction by now.
Stop!
I saw a woman in the forest.
Cool, Dad's tripping out.
Oh my God!
What the hell was that?
You guys suck.
What are you talking about?
I saw Brad in a car.
Who are these people in the woods?
Don't come over here, for God's sake.
I'm pregnant.
I smoke pot.
Talk about a Merry fucking Christmas. What if she gets it first?
Who?
Lady in White.
Don't worry. She's dead.
You bitch!
Laura!
I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna go now.
Yes, I love this movie.
I actually read some positive things about it. I haven't seen it, but
It's deeply underappreciated as a film. This is my third or fourth time watching it. I remember the first time I watched, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then for some reason, the second time, something in it really annoyed me. And I'm watching it again going, what the hell was annoying me? This is freaking fantastic. But anyway, so this is also, although not French, it was French produced.
Interesting. Okay.
It's Rotten Tomatoes score. Critics are probably close. I'm not sure about the audience. Critics were 75. The audience had 60.
Yeah.
I think is a little low. It's budgeted at $900,000. I love this box office total I found because it's considered a direct-to-video release, but it did do a brief theatrical run. It made $898,994.
Wow, that's a specific
It was
amount of money.
very specific.
You think one of the filmmakers out
Somebody's
there could have
counted
gone,
it.
how goddamn close are you to our budget? Can we get like 50 people to go see this damn
No
movie?
kidding. No kidding.
But it's directed by Jean-Baptiste Honoré, known for Brother of Tears, Big Nothing, and Fabrice Canapé, whose only credit is Dead End as a director. So it's co-directed and co-written by the same people. Wonderful cast.
Yeah.
Which is part of what makes this movie so amazing. This is first-time filmmakers. First thing they've written and directed. And what I don't know why they're not working more, because they got good actors to go for it on this film. So they're talking about the lead playing the father is Ray Weiss, who is in freaking everything, but Twin Peaks, Reaper. He's got like 250 some odd credits. Lynn Shay, who's probably best known right now for the Insidious series, and she also did Jekyll and Hyde Together Again. And she's the teacher on the original Nightmare on Elm Street. She has 206 credits. She plays the mom.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the name, I guarantee you will recognize her when you see the film. You go, oh, that lady. Kane, who went on to be he's one of the kids. He went on to be in Drag Me to Hell and 420 episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's soap opera money.
Yeah. Alexandra Holden, who's in lots and lots of TV. She was in one of your favorite shows, as you frequently like to post digs of. She played Ross's student girlfriend in like 4 or 5 episodes of Friends.
Oh, I remember that.
What is that? I don't know what that show is.
Anyway, so this is a fairly straightforward film. The plot line's not deep. It's not long. I'll give you a little bit of description and you'll pretty quickly go, oh, okay. But one of the things it does is it moves at a really odd pace. For this kind of movie, it moves really well. Kicks off right away. There's no 20 minutes of character sitting around talking about nothing, pretending to be character building. You learn who the characters are by the things they do in the movie. It's well written in that respect. The family's driving their car off to Christmas celebrations, and mom falls asleep, and dad does. It opens where he's already decided to take a different route. You guys caught up already on what the storyline's going to be?
I feel like I've seen this movie. I don't know why.
Do you think something's going to go wrong?
No, I think they'll get no car trouble. They'll get immediately where they intend to go. There'll be helpful people along the way.
Speaking of that, dad falls asleep and almost gets them in a major accident. So, of course, do you need me to drive? I'm awake now. And as they drive along, continue on, they come across a lady in white.
Oh.
A lady on the side of the road carrying what appears to be a baby. One of the weird things in the film that they take the lady in white back to a strange cabin. So there's a cabin back there we passed. Maybe they have a phone. No, it's just a little hunting cabinet that does apparently have power, though, so that's nice.
Oh.
At least on the outside. The daughter, because there's no room, the daughter says, well, I'll walk back on my own. And as she's walking back, this hearse comes at her on the other side of the road, and as it passes, she looks back and sees her boyfriend, who is at the back of the window going, ah! She's like, What the hell's going on?
Whoa.
So she freaks out, and parents come back and pick her up. She's like, and they go off chasing it. And as they're driving along the road, there's not a lot of blood in this movie, but there's implied grossness where they come along his body in the middle of the road, and they're like, kind of looks like it was taken off by a chainsaw or knives. I'm not sure what happened to this guy. And they daintily reach down and pull out his cell phone, which has his ear stuck to it.
Oh, no. Oh.
So the daughter's snapped there for quite a while. Baby carriage appears in the middle of the road for some reason, getting in the way. And Dad, at that point, talks about a Merry fucking Christmas to everybody here. Turns on the radio, and it's this horribly weird, staticky sounding thing that just is nasty. The hearse shows up again. But who's in the back of it this time? The son, who'd wandered off to masturbate.
Yeah.
He had a Playboy fold out that he takes out and sticks to a tree with gum.
Oh my
wow,
God.
that's somebody who's prepared for when the need strikes.
Wow.
But so it's the same thing again. The hearse comes by and you look in the back and the guy's like, ah. And so there's an interesting little point in the movie where you're kind of watching the story, The Lady in White.
Mm-hmm.
So Ray Weiss tells the story of The Lady in White, the legendary story, we've all heard of she's been dead for 10 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a neat insert into the movie. And, it's Ray Weiss telling it, so it's fun to listen to. By this time, the mom has now absolutely lost it, and her performance is so much fun. She is so ridiculous with eating, like she takes a pie and eats the whole pie, and she's talking about, we need to get more pie, and all this. It's like really strange. So this stops the daughter out, so she's back in the fold of being aware of what's going on again, but they pass the cabin again. See, yeah, that's storyline. I'm gonna leave it there. I've got some other stuff to talk about, but and it's interesting. Don't look up watch the movie, but the ending's actually fairly controversial. There's a lot of talk about, well, does it mean this or this? There's what appears to be a very definite ending, but then they twist that a little bit later. So it's fun to not know what's coming, because if you've watched as much horror films as we have, you're probably going to go, oh, I think I know what's going on. Right.
Yeah.
You might be right, but maybe not. So it's kind of cool. It moves, like I said, at an incredibly good pace. For as little it happens, it doesn't ever seem like they're languishing, waiting around for something to happen. But it's just well constructed to go to point A to point B, because this isn't like a 3-act structure kind of film necessarily, but it still moves like it has all the plot points going. There's nice real humor amongst the family. There's mean humor amongst the family. They work really well together, even if they're incredibly dysfunctional. I don't know. It's free on Tubi. I think it's also on Amazon or something like that. I recommend renting this one, because the commercials in this hit at, it seemed like all the wrong points. It's like suspense build. We're dancing to our music. It's like,
come on down to Old Navy.
Don't forget Napa.
Oh, yeah.
Napa. Especially, it got right to the denouement, and bam, there's a commercial.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
I feel like somebody out there is just really like vindictive, just deciding where these commercials go and which ones.
The one thing the movie pulls off very well and sustains throughout the whole thing is this odd feeling of dread. It keeps you wondering, even though you think you figured it out, you're still kind of wondering, and the ominous feeling stays going the whole time. I'm really surprised when I looked that up and found out these were first-time filmmaker, writer, and director, because they pulled off something that's complicated to do well and is often not done well, and made it a great. Of course, part of it is just the actors are just absolutely totally bought in and just bring it all. It's one of my favorite Ray Weiss films, I think. And he's done a lot of stuff, but he is so much fun in it.
Yeah, I agree. I own this one. I like it a lot. I think one of the shots that I really love is the exterior shot that just gets higher and higher, and you can see the headlights of the car going down this road, and it's surrounded by forest. But you look around and you realize, where the fuck are they? They are in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, man. That sounds incredible.
Go see that. Enjoy it. Share it with your Christmas family. If you guys aren't getting along and having lots of arguments, they have some resolutions of how to deal with the family in this.
This is true. This is true. If you've got a little brother who likes to masturbate in the middle of the woods,
or an uncle who loves firearms,
right?
Excellent.
Well, that lead
to mine. Yes. So I watched Anna and the Apocalypse.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Young Anna was nestled, all snug in her bed, not knowing tomorrow she'd meet the undead. How would she survive what this season would bring? Well, that's simple. She'd stab, she'd slash, and she'd sing.
What? Justin Bieber's a zombie.
I haven't seen this one yet. It was one I was considering, though. How was it?
Yeah. So, well, first let me tell you a little bit about it. So it's a 2017 film. It's actually a musical. Kind of missed the boat on that by about a week here. So I just doubled up on all my musical viewings. Got them all out of the year at once. Yes. It has a kind of okay Rotten Tomatoes. For the critics, it's 78%. Audience 63%. So
really?
Yeah, so not as high, but generally positive reviews all around. It was made, or actually I don't know what it was made for. It grossed. Yeah,
for
I
people
couldn't
to watch
find
it in the theater.
Well, yes. Come on down to the Cineplex for a movie going experience. It made $670,430.
Oh, you got another good one of those totals, huh?
Yeah. So it wasn't a great amount.
I remember like it was at the Uptown or like one of the SIF cinemas for a little while.
Yeah, I feel like it had a very, very limited release.
It was, I think it was really a very small release, which makes sense because it actually, it originally premiered at Fantastic Fest in 2017. And I think that was more, its distribution style was just to get it out there. It's directed by kind of a first-time director as well. So it was very unexperienced filmmakers, similar to Dead End. So John McPhail, which is a horrible name. I feel really bad for him. He's made 7 films altogether. 4 of them are shorts. 1 was a TV episode and 2 are features. His first film, Where Do We Go From Here, was a crowd fundraised film, and it got $10,000, and he made it off of that.
Oh.
Yeah, so he knows how to stretch a budget.
Yeah, no kidding.
Apparently. Alan McDonald was the writer. He's done this movie and 1 short. He co-wrote it with Ryan McHenry, who's done this movie and Zombie the Musical. And
is there an exclamation point in that title? That would be awesome if there is.
Zombie! The musical. I don't think there was, which is a little unfortunate. I think they missed a trick there. And it was edited by Mark Hermida, who's only done, it's done a fair amount of TV work. And we'll get to why I looked him up in a minute. But it is kind of interesting. So it's based off of McHenry's Zombie the Musical, which was BAFTA nominated, basically a BAFTA nominated short, which I didn't even realize they did that, but cool. And yeah, so it was a longer adaptation of that. Mostly unknown talent. Ella Hunt plays Anna. She was known for some singing. She was in Les Mis, the film version. She was part of the ensemble singing Turning. She was also in Robot Overlords, Endeavor. 15 episodes of Cold Feet is kind of her big thing. And now she's currently in Dickinson. So she'll be starring in that if you guys haven't checked it out yet. Then we've got Malcolm Cumming, who is the best friend in this. He's been, again, in only a couple things, Anna, as well as Trumbo as a small role, and in something called Spaceship. We have Steph, one of the friends by Sarah Svine, who was in this, and only in most of these people, honestly, were just in a couple of tiny little things. There was a guy, Christopher Laveau, who plays Chris Wise. He was actually in Wicker Tree as a villager, so that was exciting. I was thrilled to come across that one. It's interesting. A couple of them have since doing Anna gone on to do a couple more exciting things. So Ben Wiggins, who plays kind of the bad boy in this movie, ended up in Mary Queen of Scots and then The Witcher, and now is in 5 episodes of something called Pennyworth.
That's the Batman show that's coming out with Alfred as the lead.
Yes. Okay. I was wondering about that because his name is Spanish, and for a minute I was like, wait, he's in some Spanish show? That's weird. Maybe he's and then I couldn't quite work it out, so I'm glad to know what that's gonna be. Unless you were making fun of me and I just took it literally.
No, I mean, I do realize that I have a history of doing that, but I'm not doing it this time.
It's even crossed boundaries onto Facebook. I don't even know what's happening anymore. What's left, what's right? Do you know curlers? Do you know famous curlers? I don't. What a weird thing to say that you do and or don't know on the internet. So the only person with a lot of credits under his belt, really, Mark Benton, who plays the dad. He has 138 credits, mostly bit roles, but he was in 49 episodes of a British show called Waterloo Road, and he's been in Land Girls, Scoop, Early Days, and Barbara. I don't know what that is, 24 episodes. And then Paul Kaye, who is playing the principal. He was in Game of Thrones as Thorg of Muir. I'm gonna mispronounce that completely. Yeah. But the one credit of his that I was really thrilled to see was that he was in Match Point as the estate agent, which is the only funny and interesting part of that entire film. So I was like, well, I was living in England at the time that I saw it, and I was like, oh my God, that was the only authentically English moment in this entire movie. So the basic premise of Anna and the Apocalypse, besides just being a fun zombie musical, which is, the basic premise of it, is you have a group of teens. They're all kind of on the cusp of graduating. There's a kind of zombie outbreak going on in the background, but it doesn't come to the forefront till later. It does a very Shaun of the Dead thing where you see a lot of TV.
They're here.
They have found us. Hide. They'll never know. We have a seagull friend outside. He's very happy to be here. So you have a zombie outbreak going on in the background, and it's very reminiscent of Shaun of the Dead, where you kind of see that it's coming, but it hasn't reached there yet.
Sort of like that great scene in Shaun where he does his morning routine, and he has no knowledge of what's going on.
100%. In fact, they have a scene very, very close to that in this movie, almost 1-to-1, where
that would be an homage.
Is it though? Is it? So, so a group of kind of friends, people who go to school together, who each are sort of stuck in their own situation during this sort of zombie outbreak. They each have their own kind of issues going on. So you've got Anna, who she wants to take a gap year, which means she's going to travel around for a year before college. She wants to go to Australia. Her father's super angry about this. Her mother's passed away, is deceased, and so that's kind of an added element to the drama. Her best friend is a guy who has a huge crush on her. He's completely in love with her, very obviously so. There's her ex-boyfriend who's a complete dick. He's what the English call a chav. So he wears a lot of sports gear. He's a super bully, hangs out with some kind of thuggy bully guys, but also super attractive at the same time. So it's like, Anna, how'd you lose this guy? Oh my.
She just used
keep her
him and
there.
used him.
There's a lot of implications as to which way that all went down. So, the high school world is a thick with drama. Then you have the American who's stranded at this, I don't know if they're trying to imply that it's a boarding school or what, but she's out in England by herself and her parents bailed on her for Christmas. So she's just an angry, lonely teen. And then we have two more friends. One is definitely not a gay guy, for sure. Totally not a gay guy, because he has a super hot girlfriend who's a little bit of a ditz, but a really good singer. So yeah, so these are your set of characters. Oh, and a principal who's super over the top, like really wants to micromanage the school, hates everyone and everything, obviously hates his job, doesn't like where he's ended up in life, and he's going to take it out on everyone else around him. You end up following Anna as she kind of gets in a little bit of tiff with her dad. She gets up in the morning to go to school, and there are zombies everywhere. Hey. She doesn't notice, though, because she's singing a number.
Nice.
So she just kind of walks on by and manages to escape a lot of near misses there. She meets up with her best friend. They both realize kind of simultaneously that there is a zombie outbreak, and they decide to try and get back to the school because for some reason a bunch of people are at the school already, even though it's the morning time, and they're locked there and they're kind of getting ready for this performance. There's going to be a school, like a kind of a school play / talent contesty thing. I'm not sure if it's actually a contest. It's just a bunch of people standing on stage doing different things. So there were a bunch of people already there, including the not gay guy's grandmother. So very concerning. They managed to make it as far as a bowling alley where they kind of, hold down the fort for a little while. Then they're like, no, we really got to get to the school. Grandma's not doing so hot by herself. Anna wants to see her dad, check in on him. Best friend is obviously there for the ride to support her in literally any decision she makes. Right. More songs break out. They kind of try to get out to the school again. Bully shows up. Have a nice little altercation with him / turns out that chavs are really good at taking down zombies, which is great. And then
what's that? A cricket bat?
Actually, I don't know if they did have, they were just really aggressive. I can't remember what he was holding, but
didn't he have a gigantic candy cane?
No. Anna has the candy cane.
Okay.
Yeah, she ends up with that. He has something though that he's using very effectively.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is either.
Some kind of stick thing. Yeah, so they kind of make their way to the school. Meantime, the principal is making horrible decisions. He's sort of taking over. People aren't being fed properly. He is accidentally sort of letting in zombies and then not. I really, really was excited about this film. Like, really excited. I was really enthusiastic, teen horror, musical, Christmas movie, and it did not work for me personally, unfortunately. There's some really good elements. Like, the songs are actually super good.
Yeah.
They're really well produced. I think the teens are pretty good actors. I think they definitely buy into it, which is helpful. And the destruction and mayhem, like the set design, super solid. The makeup is great, but it's just really disjointed. I felt like it was kind of a bland story. The pacing is bad, really bad. Like, you're like, we're in a zombie fight now. We gotta pick up the speed. All right, guys, cut. No, you're just gonna linger. Okay, great. We're just gonna. Nope. Okay. All right. Now you were stuck in that bowling alley for so long. You're like, just. If you don't kill somebody with some bowling balls here in a minute, it is no good. No good.
What kind of bowling balls? Bowling belt?
Bowling balls. Did I say it funny?
You had another word in there. I was like, I don't know. There's.
I'm so upset that I can't even speak straight.
Wow.
Everything's just going crazy for me. I don't know. There were some weird things where they were clearly trying to appeal to an American audience. So there's some weird, very would not be British moments. For example, they have a giant sign that says Merry Christmas. British people say Happy Christmas. They don't, that's not really.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they don't tend to say Merry Christmas. So I was like, that's odd. Their school, which, by the way, most English schools are super run down unless they're super rich people. And these characters were not it was not implied they were super rich. They have like all the computer labs, all the science labs. They have so much money. It's unreal. Only half of them are wearing uniforms. The other half are wearing like Christmas sweaters. I was like, that would never go down. Like, this is just a little bit strange. And some of those really good set pieces that they set up, they spent too long with them. The bowling alley was a cool setup, but we were just there too long. There's a cool Christmas tree farm where, you know, you want it to be, I don't know. I felt like there were all these great moments that just didn't quite land for me. But worst of all, the characters are super 2D. Two-dimensional.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or one-dimensional, I should even say. Maybe that's a thing people say out loud, not two-dimensional.
No, I thought you were abbreviating full of attitude. Like super 2D.
Oh, no.
I like it.
I like it, though. I'm
word.
stealing it. My word of the day. I'm going to steal it from you, Eric.
Enjoy.
Thank you. No, it just felt like it was just very, like, the principal's a really evil, angry principal. Ta-da! Like, the girl is having a strop with her dad. Ta-da! Like, the grandma's sick and the, you know, dumb girl is trying to help her. It was just, everything was exactly what you thought it was. The American girl was kind of the worst. You're just like, yeah, you're an angry American lesbian whose parents took off. Great. Okay, there's literally nothing more to that. That's it. You're done. There's, like, no real character development. The best friend has kind of an interesting, a little bit of an interesting turn, as well as the dad. I think those are probably the two strongest plot points in it. But yeah, I just wanted it to be better. The creators did say, this might explain a little bit, it was influenced by Rocky Horror Picture Show, West Side Story, Breakfast Club, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this musical episode, with nods to Night of the Living Dead, Evil Dead, Shaun of the Dead. I'm just gonna say that it stole from everything. Like, you really don't have a lot of really unique moments. The few unique moments that there are really stand out. And the singing is really good, but it feels like it just doesn't match the moment. Like, the singing is actually done by the cast.
Right.
So that's awesome. And their singing is incredible. But when they choose to do it and the expressions on their faces and as they're walking around, it does not feel right. Like, it feels like somebody threw a soundtrack on that they're miming to. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't super recommend this movie.
I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said, but for some reason I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's probably because for musicals, the most important thing to me is the music.
Oh, yeah. And it
those
hits
songs
that.
are catchy.
Oh, yeah. No, the music, they really did a great job at that. I think I was just really hoping for a better, I don't know why. I wanted a better story.
You also don't have the pull you out of the movie moments of British knowledge that you were mentioning.
That was probably a huge thing, yeah. Like, I was very aware of when they were being true to English things and when they weren't. And it did really, I mean, like, bowling isn't even that big of a thing there, too. So I was like, why are we in a freaking bowling alley? Like, why would a small town even have a bowling alley? Like, maybe a city might have. There was two I went to in London, and they were both bowling alleys / bars. There were nods to, like, the 50s. Like,
so like theme.
They were themed. Yeah, they were themed. So, you know, I've been to 3 bowling alleys in my 10 years of living in the UK. So it's just.
I think I always just look at these as I think it must be incredibly difficult to make a musical.
Yeah,
just the timing and all of that
too.
stuff. You know, on top of writing songs that people are actually going to be like, oh, that was a good song.
Yeah.
And so I think I go into every musical with a real black and white kind of attitude.
Oh,
if the songs are not very good, I'm going to be like, I didn't like that. And if the songs are okay, I'm going to be like, I like that.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think I don't know. And I won't say anything about the ending, but it does get really, I think there were some weird story decisions happening. Very, very weird story decisions.
Gets aggressive.
Yeah. But I will say the American was great at murdering like zombies. I was super impressed. And the Chavs, as much as you want to hate them, like watching them kill a bunch of zombies with shopping carts was very satisfying.
With trolleys?
With trolleys.
Well, all right, guys. I think that brings us to the end of the episode. I appreciate you guys letting me pick this theme again.
Yeah, we're super
spoiler,
excited.
next Christmas I'm going to pick Christmas horror.
What?
Or I might.
Or I might.
Who knows?
We'll see.
Who knows how it will round out?
Look, if neither of you does, I'm going to. That's how much I love
Christmas
this genre.
episodes. It's March.
And speaking of that, I think we're going to take a slight departure for next episode, and we're going to do kind of our top 5 picks for the films we've seen this year. And I'm not sure yet if it's going to be just top 5 genre films we've seen this year, and it's got to be films that were released this year, or if it's going to be just overall top 5 films we've seen. But we'll figure that out before next week.
I would say they don't necessarily have to be produced in 2019 because, man, those listings get weird. So we'll go with release on whatever their release format happens to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be doing. And then after that, we'll be back to our regular programming, which will mean, I think, Vanessa's pick.
Yes.
So we'll figure all that out next week. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for all of the kind words, the sharing of the podcast episodes when they go up. You know, we're creeping up towards episode 50, so we'll figure out something groovy to do for that. Yeah, maybe a giveaway or something fun like that.
What would we give
you find
away?
something on your job. Maybe we could give that away.
I don't know what you're talking about. But we love you guys so much, and we appreciate everything you've been doing for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We will see you next week with our top 5 picks for the year 2019.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Bye.
Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Morgret. Our theme music is Strange Aeons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Eons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts are found.